June 24, 2009. This would be the very last night that Michael would grace the stage. Over the years, I've made many videos on the death hoax of Michael Jackson. In 2019, I'd like to take a look back on what built one of the biggest death hoaxes of them all. I hope you're ready, because it's time to travel back to 2009 and look at the many ways used tied to the Xscape Plan.
I don't know if I should tell you this, but I don't know who may be listening. There may be a group of people that want to get rid of me. They don't want me here anymore. They could shoot me. They could stab me. They could frame me and say I overdosed on drugs. They can do a lot of things for the government. I just want my children to be okay. My baby just gotta go.
Those there were the highlights from Michael's last phone call on June 24th, 2009 with his longtime friend, Dieter Wiesner. In that phone call, Michael voiced his fear on people being after him to cause him fatal harm. He said they could shoot me, stab me, or say that I overdosed on drugs. The overdose on drugs part of the phone call is what stood out as what was presented as a cause of death in a public trial against his doctor, Conrad Murray. But that's something to be discussed in a future video.
On Fox News Channel, the Los Angeles Times and the Associated Press are now reporting Michael Jackson has died in Los Angeles this afternoon.
On June 25th, 2009, lovers and haters of Michael Jackson will receive the shock of a lifetime when it will be announced publicly to the world that he had passed on, which leads to what this video is about, how the media was used to prep for Michael's escape. Starting with an article printed by well-known slanderous tabloid magazine, The National Enquirer. In their January 2009 issue, a story stating that Michael Jackson had exactly 6 months to live was put into their publication. Now, I know you'll say that we can't believe this tabloid, but in this one instance, we'd have to, being that Michael's public death will be announced exactly 6 months after the release of this article. According to the article, this story was leaked by a family friend, and I have strong beliefs and suspicions that this story was planted by Jermaine Jackson in preparation for Michael's escape. There is no way to prove who leaked this story, but there is no doubt in my mind that this story was definitely a plant. And there's no way that this was a coincidence that he would die 6 months exactly to the date of that article. This is Ben Evenstad of the National Photo Group on June 25, 2009. He would be known as the man who would take the last photo of Michael as the ambulance left the 100 Carrollwood Drive residence. The media would have a field day with this image as if this was actually Michael lying there on that stretcher being worked on by the 2 emergency workers. This photo is also a part of the Xscape Plan, as this was to make the public death appear to be authentic. Truth be told, this photo is a fake and was photoshopped by Ben Evenstad. Here is the original pic and the supposed last pic taken of Michael. Take a hard look. You can see that Michael's face was photoshopped on top of the original photo. The photo used for that ambulance image was from Michael's Madison Square Garden concert for his 30th anniversary as a solo artist. This is when he laid down on the stage after performing You Rock My World. Also on June 25th, the sad news footage seen around the world of Michael's body being transferred from UCLA Medical Center to the coroner's van will be aired. All news publications airing this claim this to have been live, but as a video editor, it can clearly be seen that the footage had been tailored. The one part of this news report that fit into the Xscape Plan is the removal of the body from the helicopter to the coroner's van. In that footage, you can clearly see the shape of the body under the sheet change shape, as well as the sheet go from having a knot tied into it to it being tucked super tight underneath the body. The moving of the body from the helicopter to the van was only done in a few split seconds time. So how did such changes occur to the footage during this live stream by almost every national news network? The answer is, this was not live. There was no way that this was, being that this was heavily edited footage, so there was no way, shape, or form that this could have been live. This footage was tailored and sent to all the news publications, obviously through a media manipulation program. The networks wouldn't have gotten the footage without a special program secretly conducted by the CIA entitled Operation Mockingbird. This media manipulation program, created in the 1950s, was said to be shut down as of February 1976. But how can we be so sure? Stay tuned and be on the lookout for part 2 of the Xscape Plan, because there's more to come. Please continue to like, subscribe, and comment on these videos, and I'd like to thank all the moonwalkers who tuned into this video. If you'd like to donate in support of the JustMisterP YouTube channel, or if you'd like to contact me via social media, I will leave the info in the description box down below. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you guys for part 2. So how did such changes occur to the footage during this live stream by almost every national news network? The answer is, this was not live. There was no way that this was, being that this was heavily edited footage, so there was no way, shape, or form that this could have been live. This footage was tailored and sent to all the news publications, obviously through a media manipulation program. The networks wouldn't have gotten the footage without a special program secretly conducted by the CIA entitled Operation Mockingbird. Operation Mockingbird is a large-scale program of the USA Central Intelligence Agency that began in the early 1950s and attempted to manipulate news media for propaganda purposes. According to the CIA, the doors to this program was shut as of February 1976. Despite the CIA would declare this operation to have been closed, there is plenty of evidence that shows the media manipulation program is still active. The program has evolved and is still currently being used, and I'd like to show you guys how with an example.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is how the media gets messages drummed into our brains by having network to network repeating exactly the same dialogues and scripts till what they're saying is eventually believable. That also goes for June 25th, 2009 and the news reports of Michael Jackson's death.
Michael Jackson has died.
Pop star Michael Jackson died this afternoon.
Michael Jackson, the amazing, gifted, superbly talented king of pop, is dead.
Pop star Michael Jackson has died.
Network to network repeated the same thing for hours after his death was announced by Jermaine Jackson. The news would be repeated so heavily to the point it overshadowed the death of another megastar, actress Farrah Fawcett.
Is while millions grieve for Michael Jackson, fans are also mourning the pin-up girl for a generation, actress Farrah Fawcett.
If this was not media manipulation, then someone stand up and please explain what it actually is.
Are we going somewhere? Hello? It's too late. You're my guest. And by the way, did I tell you I wasn't alone?
Hello Moonwalkers, this is your co-host Melissa, and this is part 2 of the Xscape Plan. Before the 25th of June 2009, before Michael faked his own death, rumours of Michael planning to fake his death had been around since the early 1990s. On the 29th of March 1994, the tabloid magazine called the Weekly World News published an article. It stated Michael was planning to fake his own death. Then on the 16th of June 1998, the Weekly World News magazine reprinted the same article. Despite we are told to never trust the tabloids have once again been one of the places that have had ties to Michael's escape plan. Just think about the tabloid article from the National Enquirer in January 2009.
Starting with an article printed by well-known slanderous tabloid magazine, the National Enquirer. In their January 2009 issue, a story stating that Michael Jackson had exactly 6 months to live was put into their publication.
Were they wrong about saying he had 6 months left to live? No. Being that his public passing would be exactly 6 months after that article. So why would the tabloid magazine, the Weekly World News, be wrong about Michael planning his death 15 years before he actually did it? Coincidence? I think not.
In this scene, this features tributes to Michael's 1988 film Moonwalker. In this film, Michael has a major battle with drug lord Frank Ladeo, who kidnaps and attempts to drug a young child named Katie under Michael's care with a powerful narcotic. After Michael defeats the bad guy, he flies away, leaving the kids wondering where he had gone and if he will ever come back. Towards the end of the film, young Katie clutches a paper star wishing for Michael to return. Moments later, Michael would appear in the shadows, revealing that he is still alive.
I'd like to make an additional statement, please, that Jermaine Jackson is the only spokesman for the Jackson family. There is no one else is authorized to make any statement on the family behalf except Jermaine Jackson.
With that being said, I will say that Tohme is right about Jermaine Jackson being the only spokesperson for the Jackson family at that time, but mainly for Michael. Let's explore that while taking a look back at an interview Jermaine conducted about his brother and potentially helping him escape.
During Michael's 2005 sexual abuse trial, Jermaine would try to support his brother again with a shocking plan, secretly chartering an airplane to fly Michael out of the country before the jury could render its verdict.
There was a plane. It could have been at a nearby airport. Where would it have taken Michael?
We would have gone to the Middle East, to Bahrain, to Saudi.
They would have put you in prison for the rest of your life if they had caught you doing that.
They wouldn't have caught me.
This interview clip with Jermaine was from September 2011 with ABC News. He admits to the interviewer that in 2005 he would have had a secret plane available to take Michael out of the country to Bahrain before the verdict from Michael's trial could be read. So with Jermaine Jackson willing to charter a plane in 2005 to aid Michael in a potential escape, why would it change in 2009? Jermaine is his brother's keeper and would do whatever it had taken to help Michael out of the dangers he knew were coming. Especially with those being two specific dangers that Jermaine brought into Michael's already fragile state when it came to trusting anyone.
Those two dangers came in the forms of royalty and a bogus manager, both introduced to Michael by his brother Jermaine. Starting with Sheikh Abdullah bin Hamid Al Khalifa and his connection to Michael. Michael and Sheikh Khalifa would come into contact through Jermaine. Jermaine and Sheikh Khalifa would meet back in the late 1980s while he was in Bahrain on a spiritual cleanse to convert to Islam. They became very good friends during that visit and remained good enough friends for Jermaine to introduce to his brother Michael, which in turn they had become good friends as well. In June 2005, after Michael's ultimate victory in that long fight to protect his innocence, he would pack up and move to Bahrain. During that time, Sheikh Khalifa would loan Michael £2.2 million, which is the equivalent to $2.4 million US, which helped pay Michael's legal fees here in the US, alongside the move to Bahrain. Also, Sheikh Khalifa would assist Michael with many business endeavors, including assisting Michael in the attempt to record a tribute song for the victims of Hurricane Katrina that would never be released. Michael would live in Bahrain from June 2005 to July 2006. This is when he would distance himself from Sheikh Khalifa and sever all business ties, which led to a lawsuit in London High Court, of which was settled for $8 million US. Michael would then move to Ireland for a short time period, then back home to Los Angeles. This resulted in him never returning to Neverland and now calling 100 North Carrollwood Drive home. Enter Dr. Tohme, a longtime friend of Jermaine's who tried to take over every aspect of Michael's life after he would take over the role of Michael's finance manager to end up being the full-fledged manager of everything that Michael conducted.
He had taken over Michael's complete life. He had taken over.
June Gatlin was Michael's spiritual advisor.
Michael was deathly afraid of him. That's an excellent word, deathly afraid.
What was Michael afraid of?
He was afraid of who this man is, afraid of whatever this man may or be capable of doing.
He would make virtually all decisions for Michael, deciding to and where Michael could go, whether Michael could see his own family members, forging Michael's signature on documents and checks for shady business practices. Michael feared Tohme as he didn't know what he was capable of. This is something he shared with his spiritual advisor, June Gatlin.
Last time we spoke, you told me to check on Dr. Tohme, and I did a complete checking. This guy he just has ways about him that looks like see what he's done. He's built this divide between me and my representatives, and I don't talk to my lawyer, my accountant. I talk to him, and he talks to them. That's not good. I know it's not good. I don't like it. And I want to get somebody in there with him that I know and trust. I don't know what's in my accounts. I don't know.
Oh, that's not good, Michael.
I know that's not good.
You cannot allow somebody to just be in total control of your life.
I totally agree with that. That's why I'm calling you.
Michael knew something wasn't right with him, and he did some digging. First off, Dr. Tohme Sheikh is not an actual doctor of any kind. Tohme claimed to be a consulate to the nation of Senegal when in turn, it will be discovered that no one there has heard of him when questioned. Also, Tohme would have no clients under his belt as a manager. Michael would be his first client. It's like he popped up out of thin air. Between the years of 2003 to 2009, Michael would never mentally recover after all that he experienced between the arrest, the trial, and losing almost every dollar spent in legal fees. This also includes the $8 million he had to pay out to Sheikh Khalifa, as well as the money lost behind Tohme and his monetary scamming. Michael eventually would fire Tohme, but he wouldn't go away. He would still conduct business under Michael's name the same way Yolanda Saldivar did to Latin pop star Selena just before she savagely murdered her. Tohme was acting the same way Yolanda did, like an obsessed fan who couldn't take rejection or a no for an answer. These two men, Tohme and Sheikh Khalifa, are both people that Jermaine would bring into Michael's life that resulted in bad blood between Michael and the Sheikh over loans and incomplete music, while Jermaine bringing Tohme into Michael's life resulted in Michael being verbally and mentally controlled while also being scammed. With all that Michael has been through, not just including the dangers that he faced from Tohme and Sheikh Khalifa, but everything that he faced from 1993 to 2009, he, like anyone else, would reach a breaking point, the point of no return where his escape plan that was a rumor back in the early 1990s would become a reality on June 25th, 2009. This brings us back to his brother Jermaine as the official spokesperson at the time for Michael and the Jackson family. Jermaine being Michael's brother, as my co-host Melissa said towards the beginning of this video,
So with Jermaine Jackson willing to charter a plane in 2005 to aid Michael in a potential escape, why would it change in 2009? Jermaine is his brother's keeper and would do whatever it had taken to help Michael out of the dangers he knew were coming.
Jermaine would secure a charter plane through Mexicana Airlines as they would prep to close their doors forever the following year in 2010 due to a bankruptcy. This is another part of Michael's escape plan, and only the beginning of the story of how Michael actually made this death hoax happen. I want to thank my co-host Melissa for lending her voice to this project, And a big thank you to all the moonwalkers who tuned into this video. Please continue to like, subscribe, and comment on these videos, and I will see you next time for the Xscape Plan Part 3.